Welcome back to Good Morning Vale. Well, here in the Vale Valley, we have the opportunity to have some great musical acts pass through. Well, over in Carbondale right now is Los Angeles bass player Derek Frank. Good morning, Derek.
Hey there, how are you?
I'm doing pretty darn good. Where are you this morning?
I'm in Los Angeles,
Oh,
but I wish I was in Vail.
oh, nice. Okay. Well, great. Well, I tell you what, when I look at your biography and everything that you've done, it's absolutely incredible. The inspiration that you got. The one thing I always love to ask musicians is, where did you get your inspiration from? And when I look at your bio, it talks a lot about those 70s TV shows, the 70s movies. I mean, some of my favorites like The Dirty Harry, Wonder Woman, and of course, I loved Speed Racer.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah. Yeah, during the pandemic, I got really into kind of going back and watching some of these shows. There's a lot of channels and things that show some of these old shows, and I kind of got into that. And that was while I was writing an album in 2020, early 2020. And some of that influence, like I just realized how great the music is on those 70s TV shows, and it's what I grew up with. And some of that influence just kind of came into the music I was writing for that album I did in 2020. And that just kind of became a theme. And when I wrote this last album, Origin Story, it kind of continued with that. It's jazz and funk, but mixed with a lot of 70s movie and TV soundtrack influence.
That's awesome. Now, you talk about the band that you put together and you're writing music. You've got, a five-piece band that you've handpicked?
Yeah, it's a lot of guys, mainly based in Los Angeles, that I've worked with other gigs. Like, we're all kind of professional touring musicians. We've all toured with different bands. My keyboardist has done some work with Tedeschi Trucks Band and Social Distortion. My drummer plays with everybody, and my guitarist was in Shania Twain's band with me for a long time. And they're all guys that I knew would sound good on the music I was writing. And I try to think outside the box a little bit too. Like, in a way, some of the guys that play in my band don't typically do this sort of thing, but I knew they would sound good on it. And so I brought them in to do these last couple records, and I get them on tour with me whenever I can.
Now, you kind of nonchalantly threw out, oh, I was in Shania Twain's band. That's pretty big. That's a pretty big deal. Who else have you played with?
I built my career as a sideman musician, meaning I play with a lot of singers in bands in addition to doing my own music. So I spent a lot of time with Shania Twain. I was with her for about 8.5 years. I worked with Gwen Stefani for about 4.5 years. Used to play in the band Air Supply for a little bit. If you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Yep. I've filled in with other acts. I've filled in with Kelly Clarkson a bunch, with Shakira a little bit. An act named Ali and AJ. They were kind of one of my first pop tours. So I've kind of been in that world for a while. But this is kind of fun because I'm branching out and doing my own thing, which feels really good.
Yeah. Let's take a step back. So, how did you get into bass? I had heard that you were taking some guitar lessons. You saw a bass hanging on the wall at a music store and just immediately fell in love.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's interesting sometimes with musical instruments. They choose us rather than us choosing them. And I think that was the case with me. I didn't know what a bass was. I'd been watching MTV and seeing people play, and I just figured, oh, there's, 2 or 3 guitars in a band. I didn't know one was bass. But I was just sitting in my local music store waiting for my guitar lesson, and I was like, what's that? That only has 4 strings, and they're thicker. And the guy's like, oh, that's a bass guitar. I was like, oh, can I see it? So he handed it to me, and I just remember I was just like, I didn't know what to do with it, but I was like, this feels cool. I like this. I was like, I'm going to do this. So, I continued with my guitar lessons, but then I saved up my caddying money and bought myself a bass, and the rest is history.
Well, let's get into this most recent little tour that you're doing with your team. How did that come about?
Yeah, I've up until recently, I've only played in the Los Angeles area with my band, but I've been wanting to get the music out there a little bit more. And I spend a lot of time in Colorado. I've got a place in Telluride, and I lived in Boulder for a short time, and I've spent a lot of time in Summit County at all the different ski areas. I actually got engaged in Vail. So, I've got a connection to Colorado, and my whole thing is, if I'm gonna get out there and play music, I want to do it in places that I love, that are fun. Like, I'm a big mountain town guy. That's You know, if I didn't need to be in Los Angeles, I would be living in a mountain town full time. So I'm like, if I can bring my music out to some of these mountain towns in Colorado, then it's a win-win. You know, I get to go basically take a vacation to some mountain towns, play my music. You know, it combines two of the things I love. So so we booked a few shows in Colorado for this run. We booked we're doing October 3rd in Carbondale, the 4th in Montrose, the 5th in Telluride, the 6th in Pagosa Springs, and then we'll see what happens next year. You know, I'm hoping to get out to play some of the ski towns as well.
And Derek, where can people go to look for more about you and some of the stuff that you're doing?
Instagram is always good. That's where I'm the most active, and that's at Derek Frank Bass, DEREK Frank Bass. But also derekfrank.com. That's my website. I try to keep that updated, at least with my tour schedule and all that. So we're gonna be adding a lot more dates as time progresses here. I'm looking into next year, and this first run is just kind of a trial run. This is my first time really getting outside of California, so I'm excited about it.
Well, Derek, we're excited to have you too. Thank you very much for planning to come to Colorado to share all your music with us. I know you're going to get a great reception here because Colorado is full of a lot of music lovers, and listening to what you produce, you're going to hit a home run. Can't wait.
Can't wait. It's gonna be fun.
All right, we'll see you out here in Colorado.
All right, thank you.
We'll be right back with more Good Morning Vail.